Right. Hi, Mort. I'm looking at this painting of yours with it looks like two pointer dogs. Are they?
They are German Shepherd, or German Pointers, German Pointers.
German Pointers. What are you going to be teaching at TexArt this year?
Well, with that painting as an example, it's taking backgrounds, just taking and painting interesting compositions for shapes for backgrounds, and then deciding what works with that and how you can make that background become subject matter. In that case, it became grasses and tall grasses, and then the dogs were in there as an obvious hunting painting.
Now, do you always start the same way when you're painting?
No. In fact, there's another painting that you have there called His Domain. It's a a large bull elk and a herd of does. And in that case, it was a commission for a gentleman that wanted the Tetons, the river, the trees that are there in the fall, and I did the foreground first because that was the important part of that painting, was how to design that painting so that it had all the elements that he wanted, and then the background was going to be the mountains and the valley and the river down below. So it was a little bit different. If I'm just painting and creating, I like to just do shapes. Even at night, I sit and just do value studies of interesting shapes. And
you told me once that when you are starting a painting like this, that you start with these abstractions of color and brushwork and texture and stuff, and then sometimes you'll see animals or birds or something in it. Is that part of it as well?
That's true. That's true. But one of the problems with trying to teach this is people don't take into consideration the whole shape. They see a little bird in there and they think that's what they're trying to do, and that's the example is to take that shape and feel, what does it represent? Is it hot, cold? Is it indoor, outdoor? Is it active? Is it colorful? Is it misty? What the feeling is, and then pick an animal. If we're going to be teaching animals, what animal lives in that environment? And you're really building an environment for a subject.
And the artists that come to TexArt, will they need special equipment, watercolor, acrylic? What do you recommend?
All watercolor medium, all water-based medium. Watercolor, gouache, gesso. I work with white designer's gouache with my watercolors, and I use gesso with my watercolors. And the gesso becomes, and the magic eraser, if they can find these new magic erasers that they've got out, this Mr. Clean magic eraser, that's been a godsend. It's super.
Now, will they be working on panels or paper or canvas?
At this point, probably whatever they're comfortable with. Blocks of Arches 140. I like to work on illustration board just because it's heavy, and I can move it around and turn it upside down and sideways, and I don't have to tape it. Maybe an old piece of candle, because you have to wax the edge so the water doesn't get underneath and lift that surface. But I use Crescent 114 illustration board, and most of the things I do are on illustration board.
And will they need to bring reference material, or will you supply that?
No, they'll have to bring their own reference, what they want to paint. I don't tell people what to paint. I try and teach them how I paint, and that doesn't mean it's the right way for them, but it'll give them a starting point on where to go. But yes, bring their own reference, preferably photographs that they've taken, not necessarily others, or they have permission to use. And I don't expect anyone to go home with a painting. This is an experimental class, and the idea is to try something new and different. And the whole object of this is, even for transparent watercolors, if they want to paint a transparent watercolor, this is a way to go home with something that worked, and it didn't work in transparent, but you've made it work by adding some opaques and such to it. So you can learn to become transparent by using opaques over a period of time. You try and be transparent as you can, as long as you can on the painting, and then to save it, especially starting out, you use the opaques. So the idea is to have fun and to explore.
Well, now in the third painting that you showed me here, we have looks like a group of female elk working their way up a ridge with a bull elk coming up at the end. But this is very abstract. Did the abstraction come first, or did the deer come, or the elk come second, or how did this painting evolve? Did you know what animals you were going to put in there?
No, I had no idea. This was a demonstration for an art group at a workshop. Excuse me. And the background, all the abstract shape that goes up and around and comes back down the other side, it did not take a long time to do. And when I had that done, it felt so unusual and different that I decided not to work on it there, but to take it home and wait. And I think I looked at that painting for about 6 months before I decided what would work in that painting. And in this case, it wasn't just a singular animal. It was a herd of elk. And the name of the painting is, what is the name of the painting? Not Quite As the Crow Flies. In other words, they had a long trek up over the mountain. And so the elk were a line of animals which worked well with the composition that I had done.